So in 1 Samuel, uh, Samuel um, comes after the judges. And quite an interesting book. We're going to be exploring from 1 through to 18. Let's see what it has to offer us. Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim, Zobim, of the mountains of the Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Eliu, the son of Tuhu, the son of Zuph, and Ephraimite. And he had two wives. The name of one was Anna, and the name of the other was Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Anna had no children. And this man went up from his city yearly to worship and sacrifice to the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. Also the sons of Eli, Ophni and Phinehas, the priests of the Lord, were there. And whenever the time came for Elkanah to make an offering, he would give portions of Peninnah, his wife, and to all her sons and daughters. But Anna he would give a double portion, for he loved Anna, although the Lord had closed her womb. And her rival also provoked her severely, to make her miserable, because the Lord had closed her womb. So it was year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, that she provoked her, therefore she wept and did not eat. Then Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Anna, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? And why is your heart grieved? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? So Anna arose after they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh. Now Eli, the priest, was sitting on the seat by the doorpost of the tabernacle of the Lord. And she was in bitterness of the soul, and prayed to the Lord, and wept in anguish. And she made a vow, and said, O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your maidservant, and remember me, and not forget your maidservant, but will give your maidservant a male child, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and no razor shall come upon his head. And it happened, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli watched her mouth. Now Anna spoke in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she was drunk. So Eli said to her, how long will you be drunk? But your wine away from you. Put your wine away from you. But Anna answered and said, no, my lord, I am a woman of sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor intoxicating drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord. Do not consider your maidservant a wicked woman, for out of the abundance of my complaint and grief I have spoken until now. Then Eli, some of us call him Eli, answered and said, go in peace, and the God of Israel grant your petition which you have asked of him. And he said, let your maidservant find favor in your sight. So the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. So I read this because I don't know how often you have read this story and understood what really happened. So Samuel, she gave birth. She was eventually conceived and gave birth to this prophet Samuel. But what are some of the things that are jumping out in this text back in the day? Especially, why was she in anguish, and why, her husband, he has two wives, but her womb was closed. What's the significance of what you're seeing, or in the day? Why was she in this kind of mood?
Back then, women, if they couldn't produce babies, they were useless. There was no purpose to them.
Yeah, and they would make it known, to produce an offspring was a legacy back then. I don't know, maybe wrong, but these modern day children, they don't have any kids. It matters mortality. A far contrast from now and then. You understand what I'm saying? So to produce an offspring, and the other wife, she has how many sons? 10? Huh?
Murder.
You can imagine every day she's hearing about, the sons of her husband's other wife. It was a traumatic situation for her. Very traumatic in terms of producing an heir and the legacy of this continuance of coming from her womb and her generation. So it was very significant to her. It was deep, deep suffering. To be barren is to be unfruitful, unproductive. And can you imagine you going around and someone said, isn't that Anna? So-and-so, why? Elkanah, why? Oh, she's a barren. She's unproductive. She's unfruitful. But it meant something to her. Apart from just going around and knowing that she's unable to bear, it meant something to her. And she realizes the only one who can help her is the God of whom? Huh? You gotta talk to me now. It's the God of whom? Israel. It's the God of Israel. There are some things jumping out here. I know it's Abraham wife, something similar. But, God can change our situation and our circumstances, even when we believe not. We got to be persistent. We got to be persistent. So, the divine attributes of God, even in suffering, in our pain, is compounded by Peninnah's provocation. I don't know even what Elkanah's wanted to make up for her not having a child. What was he doing? He was trying to console her with what? Am I the only one who read the story?
Didn't he give her food? Didn't she give him?
He gave her double. Yeah. But it wasn't significant. He said there are things on our minds at times. And no matter what at times, your relationship, Brother Bob, you're from the old school, I don't know. I don't want to stereotype a woman, but you know, what she wanted, even whatever good her husband was doing, that wasn't enough. He wanted to what? Comfort her, to say, hey, I'm thinking about you, I'm going to give you more. You know, the conflict that bearing a son and Lord is much more productive. Am I not better to you than 10 sons? A genuine but tone-deaf expression of love. The verse highlights the emotional disconnection even in loving relationships. Even in loving relationships. Can you hear me? Well, I am bringing you an offering, a consolation offering, maybe an offering of understanding, but I can't hear you because that can't fix the one. That can't fix the problem. And as male and female, there are some problems that only God can what? Take care of them. Losing a brother, losing a wife, and may be able to say, I am sorry. But it cuts differently. Some things cut differently, mentally, searching for answers. And only God can give you those answers. So as close as her husband was earthly, he was given some earthly things, some material things to lessen the impact of the daily suffering that she's undergoing. But it didn't help. It didn't help. And that is why I tell myself and you, and those who are in the World Wide Web, that God, to experience God, is a personal phenomenon. You got to be personally convicted. to walk with God. You got to be personally convicted. And so mentally she was being injured. She was injured mentally. The perception of the day, she is judged minutely, hourly, mocked and jeered. Seeing the otherwise children, oh, just further compounded the situation. There was no let up for her, no comfort. You can call it what it is. It could well be jealousy. But yet, God, why have you brought me here? My purpose is to reproduce. God, I am not fulfilling my purpose. I am esteemed. I am spoken about when I am fruitful. Yes.
Were there any connections with Hannah? I think we're talking about Hannah, right?
Yes.
And Sarah, Abraham's wife.
I was looking on the connection.
And then you got John the Baptist's mom. What's her name? I'm trying to remember.
Elizabeth?
She was late in her years.
Yeah.
Anyway, just prominent figures.
Yeah.
Of leadership in our scripture came from mature women who battled that all their lives and were ended up as triumphant over it.
But I love Anna. And let me tell you why I love her. Contrary to Abraham's wife, when the angel came and told her, she did what? No, she laughed. She laughed. But Anna is someone who believed in God. Anna is someone that she's not going to take no for her. She's going to change the situation. She's going to the right source to change the what? The situation. If you want to make a vow, who you make it with? God. You see, Abraham's situation was destined to happen. It's promised to him in Genesis chapter 12. And then good old Sarah wanted to say, well, it seems like God forget us. Go and have a child with your maidservant. And that's why you have the Muslim race. That's another whole study. And so the contrast I'm showing you is that whenever you have a difficult situation, no matter what happens, a relationship, wives, run to God, go to the Savior. He will work it out. And that's what Anna did. Could you read verse 19? Please.
Then they rose early in the morning and worshipped before the Lord, and returned and came to their house at Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, and the Lord remembered her. So it came to pass in the process of time that Hannah conceived and bore a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, because I have asked for him from the Lord. Now the man, Elkanah, and all his house went up to offer to the Lord the yearly sacrifice and his vow. But Hannah did not go up, for she said to her husband, not until the child is weaned. Then I will take him, that he may appear before the Lord and remain there forever. So Elkanah, her husband, said to her, do what seems best to you. Wait until you have weaned him. Only let the Lord establish his word. And then the woman stayed and nursed her son until she had weaned him. And now when she had weaned him, she took him up with her with 3 bulls, 1 ephah of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord in Shiloh. And the child was young. Then they slaughtered a bull and brought the child to Eli and said, O my Lord, as your soul lives, my Lord, I am the woman who stood by you here praying to the Lord. For his child I prayed, and the Lord was granting me my petition, which I asked of him. Therefore, I also have lent him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he shall be lent to the Lord. So they worship the Lord there.
Again, it's a continuation. And I prayed again and said, my heart rejoices in the Lord. My horn is exalted in the Lord. I smile at my enemies because I rejoice in the Lord. So you see, there are so many things coming out here. Now, Anna is not just a woman who seeks the Lord's favor. Anna is a woman of God. Integrity. See that? Everybody?
She did what she said she would do.
There you go.
Build her throne.
There you go. She's a woman of integrity. There you go. Now mark you, this is our only one. Child. But God, who wiped out her suffering and her pain. Why? Because the fact that she reproduced. Silenced all her what? Her critics. Huh? She didn't go to any physician of the day, any soothsayer. Huh? What did she do? She went to the Lord. So guess what? Eli, I call him Eli, is the priest of the day. So he would have spread the message that indeed she came up and prayed. And indeed God granted her a son. And now she's giving God back that child to serve God's what? Purpose. But she's no more a barren. She's no more looked at as a person who is unproductive and unfruitful. And now she's holding her head high with a smile. A apart from all of that, she's a woman of what? Integrity. This is a rare characteristic. A lot of times, what happened to the 10 lepers that Jesus healed? Let me alone read that story. Am I the only one that read that in the New Testament?
Well, there were 10 of them and only one came.
And only one. Only one returned. Say thank you. Gratitude is a rare feature back in the day.
So how hard would it be for a mom to give up her child at 3 or 4 years old like that? I think that is something that we don't have any idea how hard it would have been.
It is very hard. I have said it before. I don't know. I mean, that's why Abraham was considered a father. He's a father of great faith. You know, his son looked to him. That's his name, Isaac. Huh? And said, Dad, where is the sacrifice? Dad looked to him and said, God will what? Provide. Knowing in his head, I don't know. That story messes me up all the time. I don't know if I could do that. Huh? You remember, have you watched the American movie Saving Private Ryan? Have you watched that? So the lady, she's an American, I think this is based on a true story. I think she has 4 sons. All of them were sent to the war. I don't know which war. I can't remember that. I know it's over Europe there. But. And so 3 of them died. Leaving only what? 1. America, whoever is in charge, said, no, we can't, no. We can't let this last son die. And this woman, and so that's how, I don't know, I said the truth. They took them off their previous engagement and set out to save what? Private Ryan. Because the U.S. government is saying, we can't send a 4th letter to the mother saying her last son has died. I don't know if there's any connection, but I'm just showing you the magnitude in that. She has 4 sons there in the war, 3 perished. There's a 4th one. We're not going to do that. I don't know if that's a great analogy, but I'm just contrasting that, And I think that's why she wanted to nurse him. Huh? And I wanted to nurse him until he's weaned. And then she would have been satisfied to know that he's now strong and God can do whatever he wants to do with her son. But that only son is quite something. But she was a woman of integrity. And so when God takes us through a period and God help us, we must be committed to give God his due service, we must be committed to give God his honor and his glory and his praise. Any question?
One thing I've noted is that a lot of the major events of the Bible hinge on a strong, magnificent woman.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's overlooked a lot that the Bible is masculine in its leadership, but if you really dig down into it, there's a lot of feminine leadership and strength that comes out in it. So I've heard people say that the writers of the Bible, the authors of the Bible, leaned toward masculinity and feminine or female was not predominant or leadership.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see that. I see great women in the Bible that no man ever gave birth to anyone. So that's a woman leadership there.
Mm-hmm.
All the way from Eve all the way to the end, that is very strong. Even the people that anointed, the lady that anointed Christ for his burial with the oil.
Yep.
She probably had one of the highest acts of faith that's witnessed in the Bible. So the Bible's chock full of women and what they did to further God's cause.
Now, if you want to give your offspring or your children, and if you want to give them anything or give them away, best person to give them to is the Lord. When my daughter was born, I literally held her up and I said, Lord, I give you back my child. She's yours. God's going to protect her. Read verse 28 again.
Therefore, I also have lent him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he shall be lent to the Lord.
As long as he what? He lives. You want to lend somebody? Lend them to the Lord as long as they live. I kid you not. Your grandchildren, Bobby, pray for them. Give them to the Lord. That's the best way. You have no say in the matter. Give them to the Lord. So even if I am across the sea, I know that God is going to take care of my daughter. As long as he lives. This woman she witnessed God's miracle because she prayed to him. She knew where she was coming from because she was the one who was suffering. Huh? Now this is a miraculous baby. So if God could do all of that, why am I hesitating to give it to the Lord? He's in great hands, profound hands. Are you with me, church? So this work, I'm praying for this work. Anything that you feel like it is too big in your life, anything, don't be afraid to give it to the one. Huh? Give it to the Lord. Don't be afraid to give it to him. Anna, as long as he lives, he will lend it to the Lord. Anna does not just fulfill a vow, she gives up her miracle child in worship and trust. Samuel's life becomes a living sacrifice. So, you know the story that Eli, he's going to die, right? The Bible said he felt that way. He had 2 sons and they were no good. So who's going to take Eli's position? Huh? And every day Anna goes up to the temple. Who is she going to see? Huh? Who is she? Is she going to be proud? Is she going to be a happy mother? Huh? There's so many things that comes out of this text. He's protected by God. He's used by God. He's a spokesperson for the people of God. You want to be a pro dad and a pro father? Any questions, any comments? My encouragement to you this morning, don't be afraid to give whatever you have back to the Lord. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be a situation. It can be a problem. It can be an illness. Whatever it is, don't be afraid to give it to the Lord. I know it's kind of contrasting, but God can ease our pain and solve our problems, heal our wounds, and let us rejoice in the midst of great suffering. Even let us smile. And knowing that even when we give God back whatever it is, that God will take very good care of it. Thank you for your time and your participation.